Good morning, everybody. This is Martin John, and I am here to talk about the Tao Te Ching. The Tao Te Ching is an ancient text written in the 6th century BC, presumably by a guy Lao Tzu. And it is filled with all sorts of great enigmatic wisdom and advice or guidance on how to live a more reasonable life. You know, I like to present the Tao in a way that's approachable. The Tao is mysterious, and it's not easy necessarily to approach. And many translations of the Tao really lean into the paradox. And I'm not trying to say that mine doesn't, because it does. It's impossible for it to not, because Tao is paradox. But it is, I want it to be approachable. I want it to be something that you can look at today, and it can change your life. And you can look at in 6 years, and it can change your life again. Just because we're looking at it from different perspectives, from different angles, things pop out at us. You know, when I invite people up, and if you listen to the show before, you know, like I invite people up and I ask them to pick a number between 1 and 81, because there are 81 forms of the Tao. And we use the number that they pick, or random number generator, the verse that we decide to read through. We use that as sort of a text, as an oracle, so that we can feel what stands out. We can feel, like, what words or phrases do you remember? When I read something to you for the first time, you're not going to get it. Like, this isn't something that we should try to aspire to get at all. I would love if everyone would approach the Tao as like, this isn't something to get. It's something to use. It's something to receive. It's something to ponder. Because every time I want to get something, I'm at a destination. I'm looking at a destination. I'm looking towards understanding something intellectually. But that's not... If we attempted to understand everything intellectually, nothing would make sense, right? Because everything, like, although we can chalk things up as cause and effect, at the end of the day, maybe that works 80% of the time or 90% of the time. But sometimes it just doesn't work that way. And when we can open ourselves up to things not working that way, or not being what we expect them to be, then we're open to this moment. We're open to this being this moment, this special moment in this body, with this mind that has done all this stuff. We can be present with who we are and who we are in this moment. Cool beans, man. How you doing? It's been a while.
Good, man. How are you?
I'm great. It is early where you're at.
Pardon me?
It's early where you're at, isn't it?
Yeah, it's 5 o'clock.
Oh, it's 5. Okay.
Yeah, somewhere around there. I think you're only an hour ahead of us. Something like that.
Okay. Are you in Arizona?
Yeah, I'm in Flagstaff, I'm So I'm
So I'm an hour ahead now. And in the spring I'll be 2 hours ahead.
Right. You know, and when are they going to get rid of that? What a waste of resources there. I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, you know, do it, don't do it, do what you want to do, whatever.
Yeah. I just
you know, like you want me to change my clock, I'm going to change my clock. You want everybody to be on the same time? I don't care, because I'm going to go to bed when I'm tired. I'm going to wake up when I'm up. Yeah. Like, it doesn't, you know.
Yeah. I haven't been on much lately. I've been getting into the gym early and listening to everybody else's. And I think you had done number 28 the other day, which, you know, as I was sitting there, I was like, oh yeah, get on with that. I really enjoyed that. That was a good thing. And, you know, sitting back, and not a whole lot's changed, except for like, there are times where, you know, like, just be. And so here I am, I'm just doing my thing. Yeah. And it's, I've been feeling like just people around me leaning in and reaching,
Yeah.
whether it's for a hug or just to say something, or, seeing the face in the morning and say, good morning. And they look at you and they're, yeah, is it? And it's like, yeah, it is. Here you are.
It is. Yeah.
You're blessed. You're breathing. It's a beautiful day.
Yeah.
And, to get that little bit of a smile has been really good. So, but it's kind of funny to be there.
And that's you, right? Like, so
Yeah,
that's the mirror that you're, and there's going to be a point where you're going to get triggered, or you're going to get upset, or you're going to get frustrated.
sure.
Those things are going to happen, but that's you too. And to
Yeah.
be able to embrace all those things and remember, this isn't like me permanently, right? Like when you get frustrated at somebody, it's like, like I've gotten triggered twice this week, which is really rare for me. But it's along the same trigger. And it really reminds me, that it takes me back to things that I have beliefs about, and when I get triggered, I get to just step back and say, well, this is a gift, just like the smile, just like people reaching out, and it's telling me about myself, just like the smile, just like people reaching out. People are affected by you every time.
What do you do with your triggers? Do you sit back and contemplate them, see where they come from, try to work on them, or do you just
Well,
allow them to be?
it's a little bit of both. I do as someone who's coming out of addiction, and I have this kind of process where I talk about I don't like that I was triggered, right? So I don't like that I responded that way. Maybe I don't like that, and even if I like how I responded to the people, but I don't like how I responded internally. I recognize that, I don't like that I responded that way. And then I do it until I don't.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really about relieving myself of any judgment and being able to have the feelings that I'm having, but then also bring it back to me. Like I am not the victim of what you've done. I had an experience, and that experience is telling me about who I am, right? So you said something, let's say you said something that made me feel a certain way. Well, I don't like that I felt that way simply because you said that thing. But when you said that thing, this is what happened in my body. This is what I felt. Oh, where does this come from? What does this possibly relate to? And then, once I get to a place that I can, think clearly again, I look for other places in my life where that might be resonating, where those triggers might still be resonating. And then I start to source it out and try and figure out these are frames of reference that I carry. Yeah. So it's a big process of doing both of those things,
Sure. And so this is the kind of the cool place that I've been is I've recognized that I've been triggered less and less and less and
Yeah.
less
Mm-hmm.
by, anybody for wherever they are. It's kind of like, I major malfunction at work, and the principal walks by and she's like, "You're awfully calm." It's like, yeah, well, you can't get the park for however long.
Right.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
So,
Nothing that I can do.
yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
So, I've also noticed that, in this, we've, number 4 has come up recently multiple times and stuff like that. I'm thinking 22 today.
Number 22 is looking away from what you want. We talk sometimes about preference and not having preference and things like that. And this one is interesting because it brings in all of this kind of understanding when you focus on one thing, what you're bringing energy to its opposite. So when you focus on, I want to experience abundance. Well, abundance can only be understood when there is an experience of lack, because they are synonymous with each other. You cannot, because you judge abundance from lack, and you judge lack from abundance. You know, so you can't have one without the other.
Yeah.
You know, you can't judge tall if everybody you surround yourself with is 5 foot. You know, if you're 5'2", you're tall. But then if you go out in the world and you see 6 foot, 7 foot people, like you realize that you're not tall. You know, that's no longer, you know, once you go outside of your surroundings, that's no longer you can no longer, you know, be tall, you know, like, you know, only within that small subsect can you be tall.
Sure.
So looking away from what you want. To become complete, know that you're partial. To become straight, know that you're crooked. To become full, know that you're empty. To be new, know that you're worn out. He who wants it all must know what all includes. Thus, the master stays centered in Tao and becomes an example for the world. Because she knows her light is forfeit, people can see it. Because she has no point to prove, people can trust her words. Because she has no identity, she becomes a mirror for others. Because she has nothing to attain, nothing can be kept from her. Thus, when it is said to become complete, know that you're partial. It is wise to heed and surrender to it. Only by living in collaboration with Tao can one find completion.
Mm-hmm. There's a line when you first got to, it was the first she, when you were reading.
Oh, yeah. Thus the master stays centered in Tao and becomes an example for the world. Because she knows her light is forfeit, people can see it.
That line is the one that sticks out to me today.
Because she knows her light is forfeit, people can see it. You know, my use of the word forfeit here sometimes throws people off. What I intended this to hold, and this is holding a lot of weight in this piece. Because she knows her light is forfeit, because you know the inspiration that you have within you comes from Tao. It's not your ego.
Mm-hmm.
And Tao can take that from you at any moment because you are a vessel. When you know that this isn't your ego, when you know that your actions are coming from, you know, Tao, then you get to be appreciative of being able to be this. You just get to be humble in the fact that you, who are made up of, you know, like 90% water, by the way, like, right? Like that's what you are. You're 90% water. And here you are having these experiences. When you know that that can be taken from you, like, yes, we can talk about death, but we can also talk about, you know, like if I'm an artist, I could lose access to my hands, you know, like especially as someone with a diagnosis of MS.
Yeah.
Right. As an artist, I could lose access to my eyes once again because of my MS. You know, like, and those things, if my light is because I'm an artist, if it's all about my ego, I have to recognize that it's forfeit. It can be taken from me at any moment. And because I know that, I appreciate this moment and I don't pat myself on the back and go toward my ego. That's why people can see my light. Because I recognize my light and I'm not trying to push it behind me and get in front of the camera and go, hey, look at me. Like it's this Tao thing. That I'm the one that's the artist. I'm the one that's doing everything. And I think that's the light and when I wrote this, that's kind of what I was looking at, this idea of like using that word forfeit, you know, because it can be taken from you at any point.
Right.
You know, when I got first diagnosed with MS, I was bedridden. And it wasn't long before that when I remember a time when I was walking through the forest going, I don't know what I would do if I couldn't walk.
Mm-hmm.
And Tao showed me.
There's a lady that I used to snowplow, her and her mom. And her mom was about as old as the earth itself and sat in her house and chain smoked. And she sat in her house and chain smoked all day long and watched TV and periodically would get her mail. You could smell the cigarette smoke from the street side.
I bet.
And her daughter had MS. Her daughter is about my age, maybe a little bit older. And in these massive snowstorms, you know, I was able to like just keep up in like the mailbox lane so she could get over there and help cook for mom and stuff. And she was on assisted crutches, the ones that like wrap all the way up your arms and stuff.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And as I travel around and I watch people trying to do things, and she would shovel mom's walkway and stuff, and had custom made a little shovel for the end of her crutch. And the one day I'm over there plowing, and here's this lady who's made her way up a 8-foot ladder onto the roof through 3 feet of snow to clean the spark arrestor, because the spark arrestor on a stovepipe gets clogged up, and then it won't vent and they won't go. Right. And, you know, and you get up the road and here's, you know, this 40-year-old dude out there crying and complaining about the berm in the yard. And it's like, let me bring you down the street and like show you some inspiration.
Yeah.
You know, and it just
she's not going around touting what she does. She's just doing what she does. She knows it's forfeit, and so people can see her light.
Yeah.
She knows
she's not bragging about it.
Nope. She's just going about her business.
About it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So just kind of a wild thing. So for me lately, it's what I've been recognizing, and this actually brought me a lot of peace, is how many people out of the blue have just said, man, thank you for the positive, you know, your positive stance this morning. Yeah. You know, thank you for where you are. And the one gal, she, you know, asked her, well, how are you? And she stops and she's like, well, this, that, and the other thing. And I'm like, okay, but how are you? Right. She gives me the head turn. It's like, well, I'll tell you right now, you're blessed. Here you are. You're at work. You got running water. You got a roof over your head. You know, yeah, not everything worked out great at work, but so what?
Right.
So what? So,
and you know,
that's rather cool.
And this line, you know, this line that stood out to you just says, like, you know that could be taken from you at any moment. You're not going to allow that you're not going to allow something to happen to affect you, but you know that you're here and you're going to do the best with this moment that you can.
Yeah.
You know, and that's knowing that your light is forfeit so that people can see it, and people are seeing it. Thank you so much for joining me. I got Lo in line. Lo, how are you? Is that how I pronounce it?
Yeah, how are you?
I'm well. Thank you for joining me.
You're welcome.
Have you? Are you familiar with Tao of the Day?
Yeah, we've talked before, but I changed.
Have we?
Sure.
Am I? I'm a jerk.
I'm crushed. I'm crying. So hard right now.
But what can I do to make it? Okay, we've talked before, and I don't have notes. Let's just start. How are you doing?
I'm okay. It's been, you probably know me by me saying something like, well, it's January.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I'm about done with this month.
This month's just about done.
I know, and it's been like 5 years, right? Like I'm not the only one that feels that way, right? Like
no, this has been it's been a long. January always starts so tough. It's like, oh God, it's the rough nights, and then we have to go through the grayness. This is, even though the days are getting longer, they are just a bear, or they can be. And February isn't much better. It's the one time I did a painting about February. I was just like, look, you only have 28 days, but the same amount of bullshit has to happen in a shorter amount of time. So it is not a reprieve.
That is forever going to be my new life motto, is the same amount of bullshit has to happen. Doesn't matter if you have an hour, doesn't matter if you have 5, the same amount of bullshit is going
That's
to
right.
happen. Yeah.
So anything specific kind of
It's just,
kind of coming up?
January is a difficult month for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I try really hard every year because it's my birthday month. My birthday is on Friday. My birthday is the very last day in
The
January.
last day of January.
And I
Okay, well,
know
first of all, happy birthday.
Thank you. But it's just, I love birthdays. I love holidays, and birthdays are your own personal holiday.
That's your holiday. That's a day to celebrate you.
And my holiday sucks every year.
It sucks every year. Is it well, okay, this birthday is going to be on a Friday. Does that help at all?
No,
It doesn't help. Where do you live?
I live in Ohio.
Ohio? Okay, well that's not good. It's going to be cold. No. I'm just thinking that it's still going to be winter. I'm not saying that, it's going to be. I don't have anything against Ohio. I have a wonderful friend that I love to visit in Cleveland, right off the lake. Yeah.
I am in
WKRP was one of my faves back in the 80s.
I am from Columbus, so we have what I like to call the 3 C's, because everybody thinks that Ohio is a cow. They think we're rural. They think and we are, and that's why I love Ohio, is because I feel like you get everything.
Yeah. I'm in Indiana. We don't have everything. We don't have 3 great cities,
You do have.
Well, I mean, I'm right outside of Chicago. I just moved to Indiana like 2 years ago, but I'm right outside. I was born and raised in Chicago, so moving to Indiana and
we love Chicago. Chicago is. If I moved from anywhere, it would be Chicago. I would move to Chicago. I love Chicago.
Yeah.
And all my friends think that's insane, because they're like, when you move from your climate, you're supposed to move to a different climate, and you're moving to the same climate. And I'm like, I don't care. I love Chicago.
Yeah. And our climate's changing all on its own. So I don't recall the last time we had snow on the ground all winter. But I recall that being the case when I was younger. But I don't know the last year. But it has to be more than 10 years ago.
See, I don't remember that. Where I've been at, we have never. I know when we get snow. We get snow in. We didn't used to get it at all in December. It used to be.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then January and February we get hit, and then we always get a freak snowstorm in March.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
And everybody acts surprised every year, and I'm like, every goddamn year this happens.
It says, oh my god. It's like, come on, you guys get used to it. Yeah. It's just been it was 40 degrees yesterday in January 28th here, and I was like, what? Well, no, not, it's common now, but I remember having to, for 5 months, I'd have to have those winter boots on and the jacket and the gloves and all the things and trot to school. Snow everywhere.
We didn't get a lot of snow until we moved. I lived for 2 years in Toledo, which is up near Yeah, kind of near Cleveland, kind of ish.
Yeah.
Up there. But we got the lake effect. So we got a lot more snow then, but
Yeah.
we had the lake right there. Columbus isn't so much. I don't ever remember being out of school because of wind chills. I don't remember school
No,
ever
I
being
don't.
canceled. Yeah.
I was in college the first time that happened. The first time cold was a reason to shut schools down if the furnace wasn't working. If the furnace was working. If you had a furnace in the school and it was working, cold is not something that you stayed away from, you know. But
No,
then it's been, yeah, like the swings are definitely
we
a
just
big
had a
thing.
snap where it was like negative 16 degrees, and that never happened when I was growing up. Like never. I don't ever remember it being that cold and no snow. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
no,
this
it wouldn't.
is
It couldn't. It can't. Like scientifically, I don't think it can snow when it's that cold. Because then it's just going to come
it
down
is
as like,
bullshit because if it's going to be that cold, it needs to snow.
that's the thing. Like when I've noticed like the real cold days are sunny as all get out.
Yes.
And that's because there's no cloud cover to actually. That's insulation, and so usually the cloud cover in the snow is like in the low 30s, 20s. As you start to get into the single digits, the clouds start to evaporate and stuff. So.
Because even the clouds are like, F this. Even the clouds
Yeah,
are
they're like,
out.
no, we're
They're
going down to
out.
Florida.
No.
Not doing that. So, all right. So you got a birthday coming up in 2 days.
We do.
And
It's
I
all
want you to have a
going
good
wrong.
birthday. It's all gone wrong. Tell me why. How has it gone? It's not even happened yet. How has it gone wrong?
No, but it's already gone wrong.
What's going on?
Some of it's very petty, and I realize it's very petty.
Okay, good for you.
I found a shirt that I really wanted, and I'm like, that's an epic shirt. I want that for my birthday shirt. But it's for people born in 1985. I'm not born in 1985. I was born in 1986. So, like, I can't have it.
Wait. Well, you can have it.
No, I can't. It's not the same.
Okay. Oh, so what does this shirt say? Well, how epic is this?
Well, okay. You're gonna make fun of me.
I'm not gonna make fun. I don't know. No.
You forgot about me. Like,
I'm such a jerk. I'm looking at my notes. I don't. Okay. So what does it say?
well, it's very simple. It just says on the front. It says vintage 1985, but I'm vintage 1986. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Put some respect on my year.
Yeah. No. I get you.
And on the back it says chapter 40, and that makes sense because I'm like, I'm not even fucking turning 40, or sorry, I should not have dropped the F-bomb. I'm not even turning 40. So it's like I'm the only person I know that's mad that I'm like, I'm only 39. I'm like, can we skip 39 and just go to 40? I found this t-shirt and I want it. Come on, like, come here, please.
So there is no, like, I did a Google search of this shirt, and so there's a whole bunch of vintage 1986 shirts.
No, they're
but
not.
They're not good. They're not the same.
The one I want, okay, and this is why you were gonna make fun of me. Is
I'm not.
Because you are. It's okay. It's okay.
Okay.
You heard how often I make fun of myself, and it's funny. Like, I'm funny. I can't even be mad at myself.
Okay, go.
The specific shirt reminds me of Taylor Swift. I love Taylor Swift. If you don't like Taylor Swift, you're wrong, and that's okay.
Yeah, no, it's not bad to be wrong. Okay, so it reminds you of Taylor Swift.
Yes, and so I love a good theme. It's another petty thing that I'm mad about, and I wanted it to be like a 90s theme, but also like I'm in my midlife era right now. Like,
yeah.
I've been going through a midlife crisis a little bit, and it's fine. It's all fine. The fire that lights my dumpster will also light my way. So, um,
So okay. So you're going to
it's
be 39, and you're doing great. You're doing great. You're going to have a great themed birthday. Is it going to be a Swift
it's
theme?
not.
Swifty?
No,
It's not.
I'm not
Because you're
having.
giving it up.
Well, okay. On a more serious note, I'm married. My husband and I are having problems. I have finally come to the conclusion this month, because of course it was this month, that
Of
it
course.
is
Well, yeah.
probably over. And the only reason I put a probably in there is, we have been together for a while and we have a lot of history, and we've worked through a lot. I'm pretty
Mm-hmm.
proud of the work I put in with him in our
Yeah.
relationship. I don't think that he's putting it back. I don't think he has put it back, and I don't think I can take anymore.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Not a bad person. He's going through
No.
a rough time.
Yeah.
Um,
And it's
but
January. So,
it's January.
yeah. So,
Um, but he's in the hospital.
oh.
He went in on Sunday, and I also sound like a real jerk when I'm like, you ruined my birthday on top of everything.
Let's find a number together.
I give up on you.
Come on. Let's bring this home. Because there's a lot going on here, right? There's a lot. And
It's a month of death
yeah.
and a lot of anniversaries. So I tried to basically, I've been told that I have too high of expectations because I expect what I would do for others. Which is true, and it's a hang up a lot of people get in, and it is something that I've been trying to work on. So I tried to really lower my expectations, and the hits just kept coming.
Yeah.
And I'm just at a point where I'm not even sad about it. I'm just ready for it to be done. Like I'm
Right.
at the point where I had my pity party. I really did.
Yeah.
And now I'm just laughing at it, and I'm just like, we're almost there. We're almost to the finish line.
And then you go in the hospital.
I've been out of the hospital, knock on wood,
Oh, good.
for 8 months.
Good.
In February. I was in a lot before then because I heard you say you were an addict. I'm also an addict.
I remember talking to you now.
Yeah.
It's your voice as we're talking. I'm remembering like things that your voice had said. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm hearing you.
Yeah. So long story short, I was in the hospital for like every month, a lot due to my drinking. And
Right.
that's a lot of where my husband and my strife is coming from, is that he is not recovering, and that is his choice. It's not a choice I like. But
Well, we also have to recognize that, you know how I talk in terms of like, you're going to do it until you don't. You can't change where he's going to go. You can only alter where you go. And you're going to be able to love him better when you're not tied to all of that. And you dropped off, so please come back and we'll get a number from you so that we can look at this. Melissa, I know you're waiting, and I just saw Mary arrive. So there's so much, but we do have to, like, his recovery, I'm sure he lets you know this, is on him, and yours is on you. And
I think the problem is he's still, and we don't have to get into it because it is
no.
a lot.
Yeah.
But
No, I'm sure.
I think the bottom line is he's still in denial, and I was there and I understand, but
Yeah.
I think what you said is true at this point. What I need from him above all is space. And it has nothing to do, a lot of people are concerned about my recovery as in like, oh, are you going to use because he's using? And I'm like, no, I'm not. I have not been tempted, knock on wood. People are shocked by that. I'm shocked by it. People ask me how I do it. If I had the answer, I would not be here. I would be making millions off my answer.
Yeah. And really, it's just you do it until you don't. There is a time where you're done. Don't. And if you're in that time, being with him or being away from him isn't going to change your decision because you're done. And maybe it's not like it's easy. It still takes work. It still takes, recovery is a lot of work.
That's the understatement of the year. But basically what you said is completely true. And for anybody who's listening who might be going through it, I've been told I'm in AA. It saved my life. I get it's not for everybody. Not everything about it is for me either, especially the religious part I really struggle with. But long story short, a lot of people have come to me and they've been like, you need to look at him, like you would look at somebody who's coming in, fresh to a meeting, that they're the most important person in the room. They are the most, fragile. They're the most, they need your support the most. They are a sick person. You've been there, all that. And that's true. But where you think that maybe I would be able to be more empathetic because of our history, I'm fed up. Like, I'm too close to the situation.
And I had a couple years in my early recovery, and I dated someone that was just entering, and our thing was like, look, your recovery is yours. I don't want to have anything to do with your recovery. I don't want you to lean on me. I don't want to talk to you about your recovery. I don't want to, you need to have your own people, because I'm going to love you, and I want to check in with you, and I want to get you to your meetings if you want to go to meetings and stuff, but I'm not going to be a part of your recovery, because that has to be on you. That has to be yours. And if I'm part of your recovery and I'm your lover or I'm your partner or whatever, the boundaries are going to get skewed. And you're right. If he is the most important person in the room, and if he's early in recovery, he needs to go and find people to support him on that. And if you're the only person doing it for him and allowing him that space to, enter the, womb of recovery, well, then you get manipulated, and he, and then he's like, well, if you get me upset, then I'm going to go and use, and then it's on you. And then it's like things like that are really manipulative. And just as well as I do, that when you're an addict, all you want is an invitation to manipulate someone.
Oh, yeah.
So there's no winning in that. Like, you can still love him, you can still be in a relationship, all these wonderful things, sure. But you can't do the thing that he needs done, and that's to hold him accountable for his stuff, and that's what the rooms offer, and things like that.
To be perfectly honest, I don't think he wants to be held accountable.
No, of course not. But only when he's done, only when he's ready for recovery is he. And if he's not ready for recovery, well, then he's not needing to recover. He's doing just fine. I mean, in the hospital, but he's doing just fine.
Yeah, right.
Let's pick a number. Let's and then we'll continue on this conversation with a little doubt.
Give me the range again of numbers.
1 to 81.
Let's do 31 since that's my birthday.
31. This one's pretty good. Of Weapons and Mourning. So really kind of talking about weaponizing things, and we might want to think about how, like, maybe, I mean, I don't know if this is happening or whatever, weaponizing recovery, in the face of, someone who's not like open to recovery. So weapons are horrible tools. The master avoids weaponizing anything. Weapons promote fear and separation, avoided by those who walk in blessing, embraced by those who walk in delusion. If compelled to use them, she uses restraint. There is no glory in victory if weapons are used. Her enemy is not evil, but human like herself. How can she find glory in their slaughter? When the master is compelled to engage a weapon, she does so gravely and filled with compassion, knowing that this is the first state of her mourning. And I can see, when you look at your relationship and you're like, okay, I want to end this. But doing that in a way that's loving and not weaponizing, moving into this, making sure that like you're not creating an enemy and not treating him like an enemy, even if he isn't loving you or even if he isn't caring for you in the way that you want or even caring for himself in the way that you want to see him care for himself. It can very quickly, because we're so close to the situation, turn into weaponizing.
Yeah. And I think that that's a lot too of my problem and my hang up is that a lot of times I do feel like I try very hard not. I can't lie and say that I never use my recovery against him, because I do, and I know that
Yeah,
I
no,
do.
we do that because
Yeah.
we're the most important person in the room when we first start, and then we make a little progress, and we're like, "Look at me!" It's like, I mention that because I know.
Yeah,
I've been there.
I would like to sit here and tell you that no, I never do that, but I
Right.
know that I do. I do
Right.
try really hard not to, and I do also try, but I feel like I get pushed, and I also can look at him and I can look at him and know that after all the years that we've been together, I'm like, this isn't you. Like,
Right. Right.
this is not who you are. This is not the person I know. This is not, I mean, maybe this is who he's going to become, but this isn't who I signed up with.
Right.
And
And
that's
he's
not, yeah, that's not to say that shit doesn't happen and people
right.
don't
Yeah.
change, but this is not, we signed up for better or worse, sure. And this is worse, sure. But if it's getting to a point where you are hurting me,
Right.
um,
And
I
even
think,
if it's in a place that he's hurting himself, like, although the Tao does say you can live in a damaged state without being damaged by it, right? So you can live in a space that's damaging without being damaged by it. Like you can, if he goes out and, uses and stuff like that, you don't necessarily have to be drugged down into it. However, there is the ability for you to say, I need to live my life too. And I can't live my life if I'm, walking on eggshells, or if I'm, and, of course, that experience of walking on eggshells, you have to look at that for yourself. And yes, all of those things. But if you don't have any space to be still with yourself, then you're not able to learn from the situations you find yourself in. And you have to extricate yourself from that so you can be who you are rather than being his wife, right? Because that's an identity.
it is. And it's something that I've struggled with because, I went, uh, all the phrases I want to use are not appropriate. I went all out. Like, I went really quick, and like, I'm younger than he is. I knew I came from a damaged family. So I'm like, what do I want? I want stability. What is stability? Stability is getting married and having babies and being an adult, because I thought, like I was 21 and that's what I thought,
Right. Yeah.
You have these things, you're stable. And I did not stop to think like, well, technically I had these things growing up. They weren't stable.
Right. Yeah.
I did not think things through, but I went from being, somebody's daughter to somebody's wife to somebody's mother and wife. And not only that, but like I gave up a lot to stay at home with our kids. And that was, I'm not resentful of any of it. But I just want to say this to any men who may be listening, who may have a wife out there, just tell her you appreciate her. It goes so far. Like, it really is. And I tried to explain it to my husband, because even though I do think, especially when we were married earlier, like he modern, like he was never one of those like 1950s house husband type of like dinner better be on the table when I get home or anything. But there were these notions that he still holds on to that he doesn't realize. And I'm like, you go to work every day and you get a paycheck. And that's somebody telling you good job,
Right. Yeah.
It's like, I don't get a paycheck.
So you better come home and tell me good job, whatever it is I did.
Right. But
no, absolutely. And that's the thing. Like there's always this measurement and reward. When you were a kid, I'm sure there was punishment and reward, and all you wanted was reward. Because it's not like all you wanted was reward, but my guess is, from what I'm hearing, you got a lot of punishment, and all you wanted was someone to say, like, "Hey."
I got a lot of neglect, and I wanted a lot of attention.
When you get neglect, what do you want? Like that's what we were talking about earlier with Cool Beans. The idea that like there's opposites.
Yeah, there was not a lot of, I got attention however I could.
Right.
But I think what it boils down to with him is that, and just for all, and I mean, women, it's true for men too. Like, you would be surprised if I made a note of like, just making sure I told him, like, we've been married for a long time. I think a lot of people don't realize that based on my age, but I think we're at like 15 years. I don't know. Something like that. So we've got some years behind us, and we've struggled, and, I've had to check myself too. And I've had to, do things for men that show that you appreciate them. No matter how small or how big it is, it can be a big surprise. It can be a physical surprise. It can be, like a gift surprise. I don't know how to word that, but, my husband could have won awards if he came home and was just like, oh my gosh, you cleaned the house. It looks amazing. And that would have taken him all of 10 seconds to do. And it would have made my day. And I wouldn't get snippy, or probably as snippy, when he then threw his laundry on my clean floor, like.
Right. Yeah. There's a cost benefit analysis to things. It doesn't cost much to say, you look great, or the house looks great, or dinner is great. You are great. Like, this is phenomenal. Like, thank you. That's it.
Yeah.
It doesn't cost much, but the results of that, or the benefits that gets for you, are so astronomical. And I think that's when, weapons start to be wielded, when it's just like, I didn't get this. And then it's like, well, if he didn't do that, like that becomes a weapon in your mind that he is doing against you, even though he's not noticing, because he's not mindful enough moment to moment of anybody other than himself.
I think the bottom line for me is that it has become weaponizing on both our sides.
Yeah.
I try. I think I do a better job than him, but I also know that I'm in a healthier space than he is.
Right.
And I'm still not anywhere near perfect, but, he said something to me over Christmas when I really was busting my butt to try to get a lot done for everybody and handling everything. And it was about, like, oh, well, you have these big plans, but I make things happen. And I was like, ever since then, I can't love him.
You dropped off. Why don't you come back up and we'll wrap this up, because I do have those two other people in line, and I wanted to bring them up. I'll give you a moment. There you are. And we'll wrap up. And that's the thing, right? That's weaponizing. When someone says, you do this, but I do this, like all of a sudden he's putting you below him. And it's like, no, that's weaponizing.
It is weaponizing, and I think more than anything, the biggest problem with it for me was that I'm already taking on a lot. I'm already handling things that you should be doing that you aren't doing because you are in this mental space. And I don't believe a marriage should be 50-50. I don't think that that is realistic. I think sometimes, you know, in your worst days, you're 10-10 and you guys are both barely hanging on. And some days, you know, somebody is just having a better time or an easier time and they can give 90 when you can only give 10, or, you know, like it doesn't always, it's not an even equation. But when
Well, I mean, it does have to even out.
I mean, it has to balance at some point.
Right. And the reason that I'm chiming in about that is because if not, then like your stance is like, if you believe like sometimes it's 10-10. What if forever he is just 10? Right? You know, like at some point you're going to be, what's that?
Then I wouldn't have married him.
Well, right. Cause, you know, but that's like what addicts do. They manipulate you into a place and then they leave you off. They drop you off and
yeah,
you know, broken promises and all stuff like that. But that's, you know, like as you kind of start to venture into this direction, like, you know, we're looking at 31 of Weapons and Mourning, and the idea is do this with love. Love not only for him, but love for yourself.
I am, but I
you
think
know,
ultimately that's why I have to make this decision. I think that I've come to terms with it.
Yeah.
I think I'm laughing, and a lot of people don't understand why I'm laughing. They act like, I don't know, they think that it means something, and it doesn't. I'm sad about it. I wish things were different. Nobody gets married being like, well, one day I'll get divorced. You know, like, nobody does that.
Right.
But the bottom line is like, I'll always love him and care about him. He's my best friend. He's always going to be my best friend. I'm always going to be there for him. He's the father of my kids. Like I'm with this man for the rest of my life.
Yeah. One way or another. That's true.
Yeah. But I'm at the point where, and I've very bluntly told him how I feel. I very bluntly told him the things that I need from him that I'm not getting. I've tried to initiate conversations about why I'm not getting it. If he can do anything, X, Y, Z. Long story short, he doesn't want to, and that's his choice, but it's my choice.
You know, giving him that and not weaponizing your words and just telling him outright and being honest. Like, don't, you know, like do what you need to do.
Yeah, and I think it'll all work out, and it's fine. Yeah, it's just absolutely. Like I said, it's just January. It's just January.
And you know, you might want to wait until February to like pull the trigger, just in case it's a weapon.
As of right now, it's not looking like he's coming home till February.
Well, there you go. Like this is just like a little sample.
Yeah, and I'm not loving it, but.
Yeah, well, I really appreciate you coming back up. My apologies again for it. If I don't remember what your old avatar was, but maybe that would have helped me remember. And I know your voice now and your cadence.
My old avatar, I was really cute, but
see, I'm sure I would have remembered.
Yeah, I was really cute, and in my new avatar, I'm 15. So.
Oh, okay. And I don't even. Are you on the ground with the piece?
No, that's my friend, and she's dead. But
oh my God! I'm okay. I'm gonna let you go, and I'll remember you next time.
Okay. All right. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Oh well, I am beside myself. But I'm gonna send you a message on your birthday. Melissa, how are you, dear?
I'm okay, Martin John. I just want to say, Lo, I understand, sweetheart. It's hard to not have expectations. I struggle with that one myself. So no, I love you, Lo, and I understand. And it's really hard when you feel manipulated too. So I just wanted to start with that, my friend. How are you today?
Yeah. I'm doing good. Today's been going really smoothly. Everything is. I only woke up once today. I've been like the last couple days for whatever reason, and I don't judge them or anything. I've been waking up like at 2 a.m. or something. Then I'm doing my exercises in my morning routine, and then I go back to bed for an hour and a half, and then I get up and start my day. It's been interesting. So, but today I woke up at a reasonable hour, a little early, but no big deal. But I really dig when my days kind of shift like that. And it's just like, wow, for 3 days in a row, I'm getting up. I'm having 2 days. I'm having this. Interesting.
Yeah, no, I'm glad for you. I like when you don't get woken up. I'm feeling a little tired today because my niece sent me a message like at 2:30 in the morning, and I'm like, why is my phone? I'm like, is that an alarm? Am I supposed to be waking up? And then I'm like, wait, it's 2:30. No, go back to sleep.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's why I really like putting my phone on airplane mode at night so I don't get disturbed by things. And, not having children, not having partners, not having people, like that's much easier for me. To do things like that because I'm free to be who I am.
Hey, Martin John, we're all free to be who we are, dear. I love that.
Yes, I think so, but I think a lot of people want to just like we were talking to Lo, like her husband might think that he has a say in who she is.
People definitely
she may think
that
the
they
same,
Yeah. Yeah, that was part of the reason I drew my line in the sand because you know what? Yeah. I'm going to be who I'm going to be. And if you don't like it, vaya con Dios, muchacho.
Absolutely. Oh, so it sounds like you're feeling a little.
I'm resilient, Martin John. It might take me a bit to get there, but I'm a resilient chica. As you know, I've been through it a couple of times, my friend. And you know what? I always seem to come out on the other side.
It's so good to be able to have those experiences. And then really, when we come out on the other side, we look at ourselves and we look at, well, what did this experience teach me? What was my experience like, rather than being the victim? I can just kind of be like, well, these are the things that I experienced. And, regardless of who was at the core of the experience, who was the perpetrator within the experience, we can look at ourselves and say, oh, this is what I contributed to it. This is how I felt about it. This is how I told the story. And that's what hurt.
Well, Martin John, I have my KB Go Love Yourself shirt on today. So I'm loving myself today. And I just have to tell you, last night I talked to my buddy Mojo and he had a question. And the question is, why should you love yourself? Or why love yourself? Something along those lines. And when I saw his question pop up, I happened to be talking to my mother on the phone. And so I asked her, I'm like, Mom, why should I love myself? And she's like, well, you're beautiful and you're wonderful and everybody deserves love. And I'm like, wow. So I wrote that down, and like for me, writing things down helps me get them into my brain. And so I have, and I'm a Post-it person. So I have like Post-its everywhere. I think I've told you that before. So I kept that Post-it, and I added on to it, what my thinking on the end. But, I don't need outside love. I just need to love myself, Martin John. And you know what? If nobody else wants to come on board, hey, I'm going to be okay. Because you know what? I'm lovable. And if nobody else sees it, that's on them, dude. I'm going to do me. I'm going to love myself. Because like my mama said, I'm beautiful, Martin John. I'm wonderful. And everybody deserves love.
There were years where I would get dry erase markers and I would write on my mirror in the bathroom. Things that, good, positive thoughts or like affirmations, other things like that. I would write them on my bathroom mirror. And I would write them on the glass that might be holding, paintings or watercolors or something, if something was on behind glass. And it's always so nice to be able to look up and see yourself and then read an affirmation. And eventually you stop reading the affirmation, but it's in front of you. And so it's making the difference. It could be big, and it's like, you can cover your mirror with Post-its as well. But I really like the dry erase marker aspect. And I know you are muted. I don't know if you know you're muted. Maybe you're getting a call or something.
Oh, sorry. I did get a call, but I didn't know I was muted. I'm talking to Martin John right now. It's that call.
So yeah, like that whole, like that starts a chain reaction when you do that, when you write that down and you put it up. And there are going to be times you're going to look at it and you're like, that's not true. Brr. But keep it up. Because you're going to read it, just reading it, even if you glance at it, you're taking in the message, even though you're not going to read the words the way you would read it for the first time. You glance at it and you know what it says, and it says that you're beautiful. And that starts a chain reaction within you over time that really starts getting you to think more positively, and it's, it is that repetition that can help. And then when you're doing all of this other work as well, it's just part of your arsenal.
No, it's interesting you should mention that, because I actually thought about going and sticking the Post-it on my mirror in the bathroom, but I like your idea of the dry erase marker. I didn't stick it up there because I was like, my roommate's going to think I'm crazy, but like I am, so it's all good, and maybe it'll help
she's going to benefit, or they're going to benefit from that too.
Exactly. When she looks at it, she'll be reminded that she's beautiful and that she's wonderful and that everybody deserves love. So I think I'm going to, because I have dry erase markers everywhere.
Yeah,
as you know, I'm a teacher. So I think I'll do that when I get home, is write that on the mirror. And that way we can remind ourselves of that. And
when you clean the mirror or whatever, you can
rewrite
change it to rewrite it or like whatever. And that can be an invitation for your roommate to write other things. And it's like, hey, we're doing this together. And then that becomes something that's like really, and then you start seeing each other differently.
I like it. All right. I got a number for you.
Yeah.
51.
What do you got? 51.
Mm-hmm.
The cycle. So things go in cycles. Life is a gift received from Tao. It sustains all things as part of that gift. Everything emerges perfect, unconscious, and free, harmonizing with all things, completely maturing in its own time. All things exist and are nurtured through Tao. It fosters and provides for them completely. Tao doesn't possess or interfere, each expressing and maturing in their own nature. When their experience is complete, Tao receives them again. When I'm reading this and talking to you specifically, I think about these cycles of like, these cycles of like, I don't even want to call them deep sadness, because I don't feel like they were the sadness that you've been experiencing over the last couple months of just kind of like when you were sad and when you were doing bad and in trouble in work and your relationship, all of these things. I don't feel like you were experiencing what I would consider deep sadness. You're just experiencing some sadness.
Yeah, just a little setback.
Yeah. And then you get out of it. And that's the cycle, right? This gift of this sadness, this gift of this moment is received from Tao. That gift emerges, that sadness emerges perfect, unconscious, and free. And it harmonizes with all things, completely maturing in its own time. Let's just look at that individual sadness as doing this, because life is a gift received from Tao. Like this sadness is receiving life from Tao. It sustains all things as part of that gift. It's sustaining you. You are being sustained as part of the gift of the life of this sadness. All things exist and are nurtured through Tao, you and the sadness that you're experiencing. Tao fosters and provides for them completely. You are being provided for completely. Your sadness is being provided for completely. Tao does not possess or interfere. Each expressing in its own nature. Your sadness expressed in its own nature, you expressed in your own nature. When their experience is complete, Tao receives them again. When the experience of that sadness is complete, it takes leave of you and is returned to Tao. And then you can be again. You can be you, having had this experience and matured through it. And you're new. You're different. You're new. You're. I don't like using the word born again, just because of all of the stuff
Christian connotations with it.
Well, yeah, because there's a lot about it. But you're a new Melissa, because that which emerged from you matured, and it matured you, and it matured and was received again from Tao, and then it matured you. You move on to the next stage, and then like. This, whatever this is going to go through that cycle again, right? Whatever you're feeling now is going to go through a cycle. Maybe it's going to take 5 minutes. Maybe it's going to take 7 minutes. Hunger is a cycle, right? Yeah. You have it, and then you eat. It matures, and then it leaves, right? Like all of these things, and you're being sustained so that you can, so that hunger can exist within you. Because that hunger is life too. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes me think of like if it wasn't for the bad times, you wouldn't really appreciate the good times, because that is a cycle, in life. But when you were reading, what really stood out to me was the lines harmonizing with all things and each expressing and maturing in their own nature. Because I think you're right. That is what's going on with me. I am expressing and maturing, but it's in my fashion, not the way anybody else can dictate it for me. Because I'm, as you said, I'm Melissa, and I'm a different Melissa every day because of the experiences that happen to me.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes I am a sad Melissa, but sometimes a happy, silly Melissa. So, it just sometimes I'm a tired Melissa, and
that doesn't have any
angry Melissa. I mean, yeah.
And all of those things, all of those, adjectives, they all have life of their own. So you're not a sad Melissa. You're a Melissa supporting the life of a sadness in this moment.
Oh, I like how you're saying that.
That sadness is going to mature within you, because like all of these emotions are kind of like parasites. They live within us, and then they mature, and then they move on. Right?
Oh, so I really like that analogy, Martin John.
Here's sadness, and I'm hosting sadness right now. I'm hosting the life of a little sadness. And I can actually enjoy being the host. We don't want to dictate. We don't want to, it's here. I can't do anything about that. But I can happily allow it to mature through me and pass on. It's not something that I have to hold on to. It's not something that I have to identify with. It's a life of its own. And yes, it might be attached to things that I'm holding on to, and I can look at that as the host. You have conversations with your guests, right?
Oh, I'm good at conversing. I do that a lot.
Yeah.
I love to converse.
Yeah, and do that with your sadness. Do that with your happiness. Do that with your confusion or discomfort and other things as you host them. You dropped, so if you wanted to come back up and wrap up, that'd be great. But we allow ourselves that space to, life is a gift received. We're receiving that gift as our life, but the life of this sadness that I'm experiencing is a gift that it's receiving, and it's been, I've been honored to be able to host it, kind of.
Yeah, I really like what you said about it being a parasite. And when you said that about the sadness, it made me think of anxiety. That's kind of like a parasite too. So it's like, it's not me. It's just kind of clinging on to me. So, and it's a cycle, and I'll get through it, like I said. I will, because I'm tenacious and I'm being held. So, and I am love, and I'm loving, and I'm loved. So there we go.
And all of that doesn't depend on anything outside of you.
No, it doesn't.
And Lo said she's not perfect, and I wanted to, and it reminds me now that
none of us are. Oh my goodness, none of us are.
Well, I think how I don't agree with that. I think we're perfect, but we let our definition of perfection tell us that we're not. And I always say, don't let your definition of perfection rob you of yours. Because we all have a definition of what perfect is. And that's the only thing that's keeping us from being perfect. It's the only thing. And it's just because we're defining what it is rather than looking at ourselves and saying, this is what's perfect. When I look at you, I can say that is what's perfect. When I look at a treat,
I think it's looking at yourself with compassion rather than judgment,
Right. And that's why it's like that definition that we carry of perfect is the thing that keeps it at arm's length all the time. And it's like if you don't let that definition define what perfect is, then you are perfect right now. And you know what? That doesn't mean you don't change, because if you look at one thing, if this is the perfect answer, it's only the perfect answer for that one moment, for that one situation. Because if all you have are nails, then the perfect answer is a hammer until you get a screw. You know what I mean?
I do. And I love how you always challenge me to see things from a different view. It's wonderful. And I thank you, and I love you, and have an amazing day, my friend.
You too. Thank you so much. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. This is Martin John. If you're interested in chatting with me or working with me, you can do so through the links in my profile. Lo, thank you so much for joining me for 31. Cool Beans 22 was always wonderful to chat with you. And Melissa, love you. You guys have a wonderful day. And until next time, keep recovering yourself.